It's the radio guy, Mike Prince. Welcome to the Sunday Night Live edition of the Mike Prince Show. Coming to you right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. We try to come to you each and every day, as long as the Lord allows us to. Don't forget our social media handles, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, at the Mike Prince Show. The YouTube channel, Open Mic Broadcast Network. A 24-hour dial-in message line, 713-570-6736. Special guest for tonight, head basketball coach of the Prairie View A&M University Panthers, none other, Mr. Byron Smith. We'll even hear from the East Coast on tonight. Hear from Michael Coker. He is the brainchild behind College Black 9. We'll get a chance to talk some college baseball on the HBCU front and a little bit more. It's baseball all around. Even though it's not an active baseball season, it's still in the months of baseball. A lot to still talk about. Football could not even get off the ground this fall. That is becoming a reality. And I don't know what we're going to do without some football. I know you guys had withdrawals with basketball, but man, oh man, oh man. Keep your eyes, fingers, toes, and anything else you can cross. Legs, all that. It is a serious time. Serious time. I hope everybody is doing well on this evening. I'm trying to. I'm holding on yet. Well, I ain't no trying to. I am. I'm doing great. Let me cut that out. I'm doing fine. I'm doing real fine. Hopefully, you are as well. It's a lot going on. Just want to give you some programming updates. We have interim athletic director Alicia Pete. More than likely, we'll hear from her on tomorrow. Tuesday, we will hear from Kenneth JoJo Jones, former PV baseball standout, Florida native, residing now in the Houston area. We'll get a chance to talk some baseball with him. And we're going to keep this thing moving as smooth as possible. The only thing that really changes is that there are no daily scores of updating, but there are plenty of stories to share, plenty of information to dialogue on, and things are ever changing as we once upon a time knew it. Which leads me to my opening statements about football. The numbers don't lie, ladies and gentlemen. Time is of the essence. If you heard one of the briefings from the president, he was talking about within the next 100 days of this thing being cleared out. And if you look at the next 100 days from now, roughly 3 months and a couple of weeks, you do the math. That puts us in July. August kickoffs. It's a lot at stake. I know there's a lot of money on the line. There are a lot of health concerns on the line. And when we look at the reality of things, we're 12 to 18 months away from a vaccine that can help eradicate this. They're saying that the summer heat will slow some things down, but then the flu season will pick right back up and will begin a new cycle. So I don't know. I would love for it to come to pass, but we have to look at everything for what it could potentially be. There's a curfew in Prairie View, 9 p.m. You got to be in the house, or you subject to get a citation. Pretty interesting. and it has been a confirmed 2 cases on the campus of Prairie View. One was a grad student who actually got in contact away from campus, and they were quarantined back home. I think they said the date was March 3rd. But then there was a staffer on the campus. So this thing is all around us. It's all around us, and it don't look like it wants to slow up. So I say hold unto his hand. And if you're wondering who his hand is, we're talking about God. I got to take a break. We're going to try to get our first guest on the line and catch up with him, see how things are going. You're listening to the Mike Prince Show here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. We'll take a break, and we'll be right back.
Waller ISD now has information available for its education outreach program to help keep kids learning while schools are closed due to COVID-19. Please visit wallerisd.net for details. Waller ISD is continuing its free curbside meal service for any child age 18 and under. This week, you can pick up some lunch for today and breakfast for tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Monday through Friday at either Holloman Elementary, Field Store Elementary, or Roberts Road Elementary. Children do not have to be present in the car. For more information, visit wallerisd.net. Waller ISD and the Houston Food Bank are teaming up for another community market free food distribution on Thursday, April 2nd at 3:30 p.m. at Waller ISD Stadium. Visit wallerisd.net for details. While Waller ISD schools are closed, campuses are continuing to educate kids. Tune in to official Waller ISD Facebook pages for video announcements every morning at 9:30 a.m. On Facebook, just search for your child's school. There's lots of
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Mike Prince Show live here on Sunday night. Come to you each and every day. Remember, you can check us out on Monday through Fridays, 10 a.m. We're fortunate to have our first guest on with us tonight. He's been faithful throughout all this. Coach Byron Smith, how you doing tonight, Coach?
I'm doing well, Mike, and yourself?
I'm doing real good, man. I'm doing real good. Hopefully you and the family are taking care of business and staying out of harm's way.
Absolutely. It's a little slow right now, but just kind of being patient and just waiting on further instructions as to what to do next. But definitely safe and healthy, and that's a blessing.
Yes, sir. It is a blessing. And I don't know about slow, man. There have been moves throughout the conference, man. Your comrades are, getting walking papers. And we were discussing on yesterday's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, it's never really a good time for anyone to lose their job. But, man, what a tough time to lose your job in such a time as this.
Absolutely. Yeah, very, very difficult, time. And those are some good guys. Good coaches, good men first and foremost, but good coaches as well. So you never want to see that, but unfortunately, Mike, you and I both know it's just kind of part of the business, and sometimes it's your time. But yeah, that doesn't make it any easier. But kind of hate to see those guys go. But I'm sure that they're going to probably replace them with some some really good, strong coaches that can come in and continue to enhance our wonderful conference that we play in.
Well, here's the challenge that I'm seeing, Coach. Unless you do a promotion from within, wouldn't it be hard to find someone at this time to come in and fill that gap?
You know what? I don't think so because, obviously things were just kind of, the coaching carousel was just kind of getting ready to start. And I think a lot of these, moves are not, made in an instant, and overnight. I think that a lot of the athletic directors, presidents, chancellors, whomever is making those decisions at various institutions, they sometimes, obviously, they have an idea as to if something is going to happen. They don't reveal it, obviously. And then through third-party people, I think they reach out sometime and start maybe, making some phone calls as to some possible, this could happen, and if this does happen, we like this candidate at this particular place. So I think things were just kind of getting ready to get started. When this, obviously it's unfortunate, situation that we find ourselves in with this coronavirus pandemic, has broken out. But no, I definitely think that it was a lot of different things were getting ready to happen on a lot of different fronts. But no, it's kind of not an ideal time. And like I said, any point in time to lose your job, it's always untimely. But at this time is when things start to happen in college basketball. Coaching changes right around this time now.
So, translation, business as usual.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay. We're talking right now with Coach Byron Smith of the Prairie View A&M University Panthers. And let me say this, back-to-back champions.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Can I say it one more time, Coach?
You certainly can.
To back champions. See, we used to have a thing when we played baseball. Whenever somebody would hit a home run back to back, you would get up there and stand. One person would stand back to back and look at the pitch and say, "Hey, baby, we just went back to back on you." So you got back to back championships. It's a little bit abrupt ending. We already know that. We've been through that. How are the things looking as far as, are you allowed to even talk about scheduling at this point? Or
we are, yeah, we are. We are allowed to talk about it. We've actually been talking to some different programs about, trying to put our non-conference schedule together, and we don't have anything definitive yet, concrete, but I think we will probably within the next week to 10 days. That's the one thing that we can do is, obviously in the meantime, is monitor our student athletes, academic progress. Obviously they're not with us. They're doing things online, but we also can obviously talk to recruits, but also work on potential recruits, future Panthers, if you will. But we also can engage in conversation with various schools about, being on their schedule and them being on our schedule for 2020, 2021.
Okay. Now, Notre Dame had just made a huge announcement that they're just going to a pass or fail for their student athletes, not giving out any letter grades. Do you know if there have been any discussions with that happening on our level? When I say our level, I'm talking about Prairie View, but I'm talking about FCS and SWAC in particular.
I think that's a nationwide option, Mike. We have had conversations, but obviously when you're looking to try to work your GPA and enhance your GPA, sometimes the pass-fail really is not the best option. For certain programs and things of that nature. But, Mike, personally, since we're cutting out so much stuff, and if we're being honest about it, with how they've gone to online, so it's a major adjustment. I mean, make no mistake about it. This is a major adjustment for student athletes across the country, because some of these student athletes depend on their academic support team to be able to be there. Sometimes it's just going into Mr. Richards or Ms. Williams' office and discussing academics. That brings about a certain comfort to that student athlete that, hey, you know what? I know I can go in and talk. I don't think I did as well, or I think I'm doing better. It's that academic help and that academic support that comes into play, that now that's not an option anymore. So you're asking these student athletes to go to a computer and to be able to do said things. I really think it is my wish that the NCAA will come in and give some type of academic relief for this semester, because these kids are still affected, Mike. I mean, you had the major part, the most exciting time of the year in college basketball was taken away. These kids are still adjusting. Coaches are still adjusting, to this situation. So for me, they're not going to give me Devontae Patterson and Jerron Andrews back. Okay, they're not going to allow me to get my bonus for being the SWAC conference tournament champion, which I feel like I would be. Give me some academic relief. Some of my kids that are being affected by what's going on. Not to say that they don't go to class, they don't finish it out, but maybe academic relief just in terms of, hey, you know what, we're not going to penalize you guys eligibility wise if you don't have your best semester, your strongest semester, because there's some extenuating circumstances that are going on. So that's what I would like to see happen. If anything could happen, that's what I'd like to see happen.
Well, I know research has shown that this time of year is the most challenging semester for basketball players in particular, because things ramp up a lot, and the tournament plays and all the short notice travel. So it does create an added stress to things. But let me ask you this, Coach. It's beginning to look a little bit more concerning on the football side of things, and with the way the projections are looking right now, it's a possibility that we might not be punting, passing, or kicking this fall. And explain the domino effect that could have on a basketball season.
Well, obviously everybody knows football is king of the court. And if there's no punt, pass, and kick, there probably ain't going to be no passing, shooting, or dribbling either in the foreseeable future, because it's definitely going to have an effect. Again, I mean, it is a concern. I was listening to Brian Kelly, and the head coach of Notre Dame the other day, said if we're not playing football, 90 days, it's going to be a problem, and it's going to be a major problem. And, again, it is going to be a domino effect. We're going to be affected by it. Volleyball is going to be affected by it. Golf, tennis, all of the sports are going to be affected because football is top dog. So how we're going to be affected remains to be seen. Mike, for me personally, I just wish that somebody would come out and say, you know what, we got a date, okay? Corona, no more after May 15th or June 1st or whatever. But, we're not getting that right now. And that's really the frustrating part. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. And we know this deal is going to kind of come to a close. At least we can get it under control to where we can get back to, some sense of normalcy. And that's the frustrating thing is the fear of the unknown is very, very, very difficult. I mean, it's a difficult time right now for everyone that's involved. And there's just no answers right now. It's really, really, really a difficult time for, collegiate sports, professional sports, but our country, more importantly. It's just a difficult time right now.
Well, we're speaking right now with Coach Byron Smith of the Prairie View A&M University Panthers here at the Mike Prince Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Now, Coach, even though there has not been a concrete date, if you're reading in between lines of what the experts are saying on getting a grip on this thing, they've given some dates, but I don't think we as sports enthusiasts want to embrace that. For a cure, of a potential cure of a vaccination shot, is 12 to 18 months. So if you go back now, they're working overtime and accelerating, and right now they got a lot of guinea pig drug testing right now, but nothing concrete. So if we look at a best case scenario, we're looking at potentially, if we go by a year's notice, the start of spring sports is when this thing can be under grips. Worst case scenario, it will go everybody, and we'll be going back to the fall of 2021-22 year. Wow. That's what this thing could be to. And I know people don't want to hear that, but it's the grave realities that we're dealing with right now. And that's why we got an interview that we got coming on tomorrow with Coach Pete, was asking about, are there any contingency plans about the future, either coming from the NCAA or even down on the lower tier level, because we know what the NCAA is going to mandate, but are there any contingency plans working on scenarios A, B, C, or D? If this happens, we do this. If that happens, we do that. And if this happens, we go here. And so it's one of those things where we really, really need to become more proactive. And I know we're waiting and seeing, and we're being optimistic, but this thing is increasing. They're saying we haven't hit the apex yet.
Yeah, that would be wow. I mean, that would be something that would be major if, in fact, either of those times, spring or fall, would be very difficult to process. And I tell you, Mike, probably what I would do if that were the case, I would probably try to take a sabbatical from Prairie View for maybe a year, and to try to find a country somewhere where they will have a 49-year-old professional basketball league, and then I would just try to go and just try to bide my time in doing something positive, keep hope alive, and just see if I can finally crack that lineup that I've been trying to crack for the past 20 years.
So, my friend, this thing here, you can't escape it. It's everywhere. It's like the wind, baby. It is everywhere. So if you find that place, the only thing that probably sounds safe right now is the moon or Mars.
Exactly.
You know, and I don't
So
think your jumper is going to work good with those gravity challenges you would have, man. So I don't know.
probably won't. And I agree. You know, but it's definitely an adjustment that we're already going through. But it seems like it's going to be several more that we're going to have to work through.
Right.
But there's strength in numbers, and I think that the thing right now is the hardest thing for any of us to do is to have patience. Because you just don't know. But that's why, I tell everyone, ask me what have I been doing. I'm positive and I'm forward thinking, but I'm just waiting on instruction as to what to do next, and when and if this situation is going to get corrected, we can move forward and get back to doing what we all love to do, which is work.
Right. And I think the toughest part right now is the mental part of it.
Yes.
Because of the unknown, the what ifs, the woulda,
Yes.
coulda, shouldas, and all these different scenarios that play not only in a coach's head, an athletic director, especially the student athlete, because what would have happened if we could have played, and how could that have done, and what about this, and what about that? I know the NBA, and I know you're very, very keen to what they're doing. They're talking about possibly getting a campus from the Midwest because they were least affected by the virus thus far, and almost making an NBA camp out of a college campus so they could try to continue the season. But does that sound like wishful thinking?
You know what? I don't put anything past Adam Silver, who's a great mind, has a great feel for business, very innovative thinker, very forward-thinking person. And I think he's very, careful. And I think he's got tremendous resources. He has a team of great minds, business minds, and things like that. So I would think that the NBA would be the least affected because they've got the most to lose and they've got the most resources involved in this entire deal. I would think they would probably be the least affected. In college sports, I don't know. We've got a lot of individuals that are just business people. That are just kind of, manning the ship and things like that. So I don't know. And then obviously, you've got the whole amateur thing. How much flexibility, would they have, the student athletes, to be able to do various things and stuff like that. So, it wouldn't shock me, surprise me if the NBA, obviously they're affected, they're impacted as we all are, but they could come out of it the least unscathed of any of our programs and any of our sports teams, in the United States. It wouldn't shock me at all if something positive didn't come out from Adam Silver and his team of really, really good business minds.
All right, we're speaking again with Coach Byron Smith of the Prairie View A&M University Panthers. Coach, with all this heavy news and this, that, and the other, a lot of people have had a chance to reacquaint themselves with their friends and loved ones. What have you learned about yourself and your family through this downtime?
That I'm even more impatient than I thought I was on the sideline. I'm impatient in the kitchen. I'm impatient on the couch. I'm impatient in the bathroom. I'm impatient, everywhere. One of the things I am really focused on, Mike, and I'm being serious when I say this, is to try to become a little bit more involved, Dad. Obviously, this great game that we love so much, there's always some shortcomings and some not so good things about it. It's just time away from your children, and I'm trying to bide my time and fill my time, with just interacting with them a little bit more and just kind of getting caught up, because that 7 months grind that we're in, called the college basketball season, it kind of takes you away from a lot of things with your children. So I'm really working on that area. To get to not that I'm an absentee father, I'm there in their life each and every day, but just being able to get caught up on the last few months, because we've been grinding and been very, very busy. But, Mike, I tell you, you're always looking at different scenarios and situations that have happened throughout the year and how I could have handled it a little bit better. It could be my relationship with referees, my relationship with my administration, my player-coach relationships and things like that. I looked at some situations and I said maybe I could have handled it a little bit differently. Maybe I should have talked to him a little bit differently. Maybe I should have, had a little bit more patience when I was asking for something from the administration, our athletic director, our academic people. So I guess what I'm learning is that, you have to have more patience, and you have to be as engaging as you possibly can, because you get more bees with honey. You know, if you come across as a nice guy and you knock instead of, bang, if you smile, instead of frown, if you, sometimes you laugh, Mike, when things aren't necessarily all that funny. I think sometimes it can be beneficial to you in the end, and it can bring you closer to accomplishing what you're trying to accomplish. So I just think that, to answer the question, I've learned that I do have to be a little bit more patient. But when you're having success, Mike, and things are going well for you and things like that, sometimes you get a little impatient, and you think things will be done right here and right there and there, and hey man, we're champions, and now we're back-to-back champions and stuff. So it should be coming faster, it should be coming easier and things like that. But it doesn't always work that way. So I've learned that I have to continue to work on and ask God for more patience as I move forward and as I continue down this journey of being a head men's basketball coach at Prairie View A&M University.
Well, my friend, it sounds like you've already been on that sabbatical. Hey, I appreciate you so much, man. You take care of yourself, and when you find that 49-year-old league, you let me know, and we'll talk about it, okay?
Mike, I tell you what, I'm gonna get a round trip ticket for you, and you get courtside seats. It may be a third world country, but that's okay. I mean, you know what? Hey, you're one of them tough brothers from St. Louis, so I think you can handle, a little bit of adversity. So I think you'll be fine. But you'll definitely be at any table that I'm the head of. You have a seat at my table, Mike.
Well, let's eat, baby. Let's eat. Well, look, man, you take care of yourself. Lord say the same. We get back up with you next week, all right?
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, my man. Coach Byron Smith of the Prairie View A&M University Panthers making the adjustments. As Michael Jackson say, you got to make that change. We're going to take us a break, and we'll be right back with more from Michael Coker from baseball, black baseball, Black College Nines. What about that? We'll be right back.
Serving the community through faith and athletics. The Open Mic Broadcast Network.
Have sports, we'll travel. The Open Mic Broadcast Network serving student athletes from Little League, high school, and collegiate coverage right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. From coast to coast, from dusk till dawn. You can catch all student athletic action right here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network, the station designed with you in mind. Serving the community through faith and athletics, the Open Mic Broadcast Network, the voice of student athletics. We'd like to recognize sponsors. Attorney Lee Van Richardson, located at 1047 Austin Street in Hempstead, Texas. Their phone number is 979-826-8008. Diva Skin Conditioner, located at divafeet.com, D-I-V-A-H feet.com. Their phone number, 903-270-0026. Prairie View Athletic Club, serving student athletes since 1986. Their phone number is 936-857-5817. Temple of Refuge Ministries, located in Prairie View, Texas, at 45372 Old Highway 290. Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union, several locations to serve you. Katy, Rosenberg, Brenham, Bryan, College Station, and Waller, Texas. Their phone numbers, toll free, 855-391-2149. If you or your business would like to be a part of the sponsorship team here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network, contact us at 832-213-8824.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Mike Prince Show Live Sunday night edition. Thank Coach Byron Smith in the first segment. Life adjusting with Corona, without Corona. But I can guarantee you this, it won't ever be the same. But some things don't ever change. I don't care. We've seen it, and that's baseball. My next guest, I'm proud to have on. This is the first time on the show. We've talked here and there like ships in the night, but I think we got on the same dock tonight. I'm going to present to some and introduce to others Brother Michael Coker of Black College 9. How you doing this evening, sir?
Alrighty, how about yourself?
Man, I dare not complain. Welcome to the show. And as the old song says, it's been a long time coming, but we finally got it lined up, my man.
Yes, we did.
Yes,
and
sir.
It's a pleasure to be on your show.
Okay, it's a pleasure to have you on board. And now you did something that made me think, and it made me think twice. You came up with what would normally be a postseason acknowledgement of your players. But before we get into that, introduce to our listening audience on how Black College Nines came to be.
Black College Nines came about as a historical site for HBCU baseball, for historically Black College and University baseball. Of the many things that how the game was played back in the day, back in the 20s, the 30s, and the 40s, in the 50s, and it told the historical aspect, and it still does, but it's gone in a different direction. We've moved forward into covering HBCU baseball present because there's a national audience for it, and there's no one, excuse me, there's no one covering HBCU baseball like we are at the national level. So when Black College Nines was started, it was strictly for historic, because the Negro League, all the Negro League players, a lot of them came out of HBCUs. A lot of the games were played on HBCU campuses, North Carolina A&T. That's just to name one, but we have a wealth of experience in baseball, and this occurred all before football and basketball became a social issue, because baseball, blacks, we played baseball, and then we gravitated towards those glory sports. But baseball has always been consistent and constant.
No doubt about it at all. And I was sitting up here reminiscing. I had the luxuries of being able to visit the Black Baseball Museum in Kansas City on a couple of occasions. And when you go through there, it's like the hair on the back of my neck stands up every time when you read the stories, look at the little documentaries, and you look at the old uniforms, and it makes you proud to know that you came on the shoulders of guys who paved the way for baseball to be continuing even in this 21st century.
Yes, and the thing that I like about that is it tells the facts of who we are and how the game came about. This started in the 1800s, and it manifested itself to where we are today. We have a rich history of collegiate baseball. We have a rich history of Major League Baseball, and all of this was at the black level.
Yes, sir.
And during the games, when the fans went, it was like a big event. They got dressed up in their best suits to watch a baseball game.
Absolutely.
And that's the historical aspect of Black college baseball.
Yes, sir. It was a family affair. It was an absolute family affair. I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, and had the fortunes to be at the foot of James Cool Papa Bell, and he telling us the old stories of how things were back in the day, not realizing at the time of the nuggets that he was dropping on us, but to know that we was able to be able to touch this man and relate with this man. And then as you get older and your game develops, you start realizing, man, I was talking to an actual living legend. And I didn't realize it. You know, when you're young, you don't know what's going on. You just kind of embrace things because it's supposed to happen. But I'm so thankful about that. And part of the quest, and I'm pretty sure I hear it from you, and I know from me, part of the quest of why we were doing this, because no one was telling our story accurately. If they told it at all, they would just, oh, yeah, that over there, okay, whatever. And you have to crawl before you walk. And although there are a lot of people who appreciate what we do, and this might sound like a bad time to do it, but they can really show their appreciation by help funding these projects to keep them moving and going deeper into the future.
And I agree with you, because when baseball was played, baseball is basically a thinking man's game. You think, you react, you play the sport, and you come right back to it. It's a lengthy game, but it's a thought process.
Right.
And the one thing that I like about the sport, because I played baseball 3 years in college, and my parents were big baseball fans, is the fact that it's exciting, and it gives you a chance to adjust your game. It's not like you got to come down and try to score quick, or you need there are a lot of parameters, and that's the game of baseball. And I want to add this to it, is that, for young black kids, if you get into baseball, you're getting into baseball that has a longer longevity than football and basketball combined at the pro level.
Absolutely.
You're going to get 20 years out of that and make millions of dollars, because baseball is set up that way with the minor league system, as to where before you make it to the big dance, they want to make sure that you are prepared, because it gives you the opportunity to advance yourself, and it gives you longevity. So to a lot of these kids, the glamour sports with the sneakers and the cool looking clothes, that's not going to cut it. If you really want to sink your teeth into a sport where you can really make something for yourself, baseball is your choice.
We're talking right now with Black College Nine's original founder and creator, none other than Michael Coker. I got an interview that I've done with a guy by the name of Kenneth JoJo Jones. He played at Prairie View, played in the Phillies organization as well as the Oakland A's and in Mexico. And I've been a big component of this. I think travel baseball has killed the interest of African-American students today. That's just my personal opinion. The local ballparks have been diminished, and the fewer and fewer opportunities. It's like they're squeezing and shrinking down. And in order to try to restrike that interest, I think we need to revisit and try to do a rallying cry around Little League Baseball back in the communities.
Well, I have to correct you on something. Jay Soko is the founder of Black College Nines. He brought me on board after I had spent many years with college baseball, Baseball America, and Black College Baseball. And so Jay Soko is the founder.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Forgive me for that misinterpreting.
That's okay. But you touched on something, and I'm glad you brought that up, because baseball has changed. And it has hurt the black community, and a lot of it is due to these baseball scouts. And what they'll do is they'll take parents that spend anywhere from $10,000 to $90,000 a year on their kids, trying to get them prepared for the pros. A lot of times, it's no longer raw talent. It's you got to be seen. You have to be in the right camp. You have to be in the right scouts camp. And it's taken away from, say, that kid off of that sandlot who can hit a 90-mile-an-hour pitch. If you remember back in the days, they played stickball, where you took a broom
yes, sir.
And a tennis ball, and you made contact with that.
Yes, sir.
And so when you added a baseball bat, you became more dangerous, because you can take that bat and drive it versus a stick ball. So baseball has gotten away from the raw talent. It's all about getting seen in the right camp, I tell kids nowadays, because I go to the games for HBCU, how can I get drafted? What is it I need to do? And it's heartbreaking for me to tell them, well, if you're not throwing 98, or if you can, barely get a 95-mile-an-hour pitch past the pitcher, then understand that you've had one heck of a college career. Get your degree and move on, because if you're not in some scouts camp, if you're not on some scouts radar, and it's not like the scouts aren't there. They're going to the games, but they're basically going for you to set up as to where they're getting paid one way or another to get you in their camp, because you have these summer leagues all throughout the summer. These college kids, they're in the camps, they're in these summer leagues, and they're getting exposure. And these camps are not cheap. The minute you leave 2 weeks after you leave school, and you're traveling across the country and you're in someone's camp, someone has to pay for that. Normally, 9 times out of 10, it's coming out of your parents' pocket.
Right.
So I think baseball has taken advantage of the situation, and it's no longer raw talent anymore. And that's what's hurting a lot of non-HBCUs and mainly HBCUs. I'm not trying to, bash Major League Baseball, but in HBCUs, they do draft. Every year we get draft picks. They get the cream of the crop, so to speak. I think they could probably get more, but there's not nor here or there. But the fact of it is that the first people that are taken, the first kids that are taken, are the ones that are in scout camps, and that hurts.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And look, I know you were very nice about it. I'll say it for you. It has become a hustle. It has truly become a hustle. They seek the parents that they have the money, and 9 times out of 10, little Timmy doesn't even have the talent, but he has the money, and so he'll take up them spots and them slots, and gets frustrated when the truth really reveals itself further down the road. But that's a whole nother topic, and we're not going to do that. We're going to talk about the good side today. It's a Sunday evening, so we're going to talk good. Is that all right, Mike?
I'm with you 100%.
We're talking with Michael Coker of Black College 9, and you're on the East Coast, exactly, right?
Yes.
Because you're and when we talk about the games, and man, I was devastated. I know people are devastated behind basketball and football potentially not being able to be on time. But we was just getting into the thick of baseball, man. I mean, just getting into it, and then boom goes Karina. And then I found it very interesting, and I was like, okay, here's this report, and I looked through it, and I said, okay. And you got the coaches of the year, and I was like, okay. And so I said, well, I want the formula of how you came up with your list, and let's talk about that for a little bit.
Well, what I do throughout the season, I watch everything. I watch the players. I know who the players are coming in from freshmen up into their seniors. I watch the stats. I watch it. It's more than just watching stats. You got to watch in-game stats. You have to watch box scores. You want to get yourself familiarized with who's doing what, because there are so many components. There are so many great players. There are so many good teams out there. And what I do is I usually throughout the season, I ended up anywhere from 6,000 to 10,000 pages of handwritten notes. And I jot down who's doing what. So it gives me a good idea. So when I'm starting to put a list together of who's hot, or, some of the top players for, the elite list, I have a list that I put together, and then a lot of that gets voted upon. I'll be able to, because I have guys throughout the media that I can send information to, and we'll vote on it. I kind of like to stay away from our top 10 poll voters, because this is a little bit different. These are guys who can go in there like me and look at the stats and say, hey, that pitcher does not have a lot of strikeouts, but he induced a lot of pop-ups.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't look at that as stats. You have to, because there's nothing that clearly dictates that.
Right.
So right. You look at that, and you got guys that are saying, okay, well, he only has 50 strikeouts, but he's got 75 innings, and 50 strikeouts is pretty big.
Yes, sir.
But he has 100 pop-outs, and he has 200 ground outs.
Right.
So when you see stats like that, and that's what I like, because in my mind, stats don't lie. It tells what a person is doing and how they're doing it. So in the end, then you start comparing it to other players, and then you're putting players against each other, and then you have a formula and a system, and it's a base system as to where, okay, these are the top players each year. And then you take that, and then that's what helps me to decide who might get drafted, who gets on my draft list, and then it goes to the Major League Baseball draft board. And then when you find out that who's on your list is on Major League Draft Board's list, then you know you've done something. And that's what I like about HBCU baseball. It gives me the chance to report it, talk about it, and tell it like it is.
Absolutely, man. And it's so refreshing. And I can talk baseball all day, every day, 366 days, and I'm counting the leap year. Because, that's how much I enjoy it. That's how much it has impacted my life. It's given me an opportunity to get that education that you alluded to earlier. And I'll do whatever I can to give back to the game because that's how much I embrace it. But sometimes it appears, and maybe you can verify this, that some of our coaches don't understand that sometimes, and they get a little shy at times.
Well, see, I graduated. I tell you what, baseball got me to graduation. Three years of baseball, and I made it as a walk-on. I first started off playing tennis at Wilberforce University in Wilberforce, Ohio. I was good at tennis, but baseball was my heart. So I transferred. I talked to a bunch of schools. I transferred to Edward Waters College, played 3 years of baseball there. If it wasn't for baseball, I probably would have graduated, but it helped. And a lot of coaches nowadays, it's about winning versus the student athlete. You gotta, if you can't play the game without knowing that kid has to do well in the classroom, well in the field, and then he has to do well in life, because baseball is a life experience. It teaches you, it prepares you, it makes you think. You walk away from it as being a man, because it takes a man to play third base. When a ball hit the third base is a bullet. It takes a man, not a maniac, a man to play that position. So baseball puts you into a position as to where it's a thinking man's game, and a lot of coaches, too much emphasis is put on winning, and not enough is put on explaining and teaching the game. I've heard coaches say, "You're supposed to know this." No, teach him so that he will know. Get him to understand that your proper footing, how you're supposed to throw, where you're supposed to throw, and at what level. And a lot of that nowadays is, especially at HBCUs, there are a lot of coaches that are taking their time and preparing these kids. That's why we have fall ball. Fall ball reiterates the fundamental aspect of baseball.
Yes, sir.
And without fall ball, that's the exhibition season. It's not like the pros, where the pros come in for exhibition and they're taking grounders right away. No, this is our way of teaching the kids, even the ones who've been through it 2-3 years. This is what you have to do to be fundamentally sound to play this game.
Yes, sir. No doubt about it, because baseball is a muscle memory sport. And the more you do something, the more natural it becomes in that flow of doing it. And it's ironic that you talked about the fall. We're going to get back to your list in just a second. We know they suspended the spring. And I was talking with a couple of baseball buddies of mine. It would have been, I guess hindsight is 2020. Wouldn't it have been nice if they had suspended the season instead of just canceling the season? And if it was to pick back up in the fall, then they could just play conference games in the fall and then get back on the regular course for the spring coming up. Well, that would have been pretty neat, don't you think?
Well, I kind of got a different attitude about it. If they cancel the season, then I think we should move on. I think we should move on because there's going to be a decision made tomorrow. The NCAA is going to make a decision on how they're going to move forward. They're going to give a year of eligibility back. Most likely case in there is getting rid of the 27 players on scholarship and add more and cap that for 1 year, and then getting rid of the 25% maximum rule for 1 year, which means that in bringing seniors back, you're going to have to make room for them, and then you're going to have to make room for the incoming freshmen. If we were to have a go back to a season, now you're talking about altering the draft, which they're going to do. Instead of the 49, 50 rounds, they're going to cut the draft short. That's going to hurt a lot of kids. So I think what they should do is just, because at this late stage of the ball game, just let's pick it back up. Let's start fresh in 2021 and let the season go and give the programs back the players' eligibility, and then give them the revenue assistance that they need from this. I mean, the federal government has already said that they're going to compensate as much as they can. I just don't see, and I don't see a way as to where we should have a tournament down the road just to say we have college baseball games to play. I just think that we need to move forward, because this coronavirus is serious.
No doubt.
And there's no way around it. It's killing people.
Well,
and it's killing people at an alarm rate. And so I think it's more important. We can't play baseball with bad health. I just think we need to move on from it.
Well, I was speaking earlier. I would not be surprised if we're 12 or 18 months for things being quote unquote normal again. That's me personally. 12 to 18 months out. There's no need to rush everything back, because it's a serious situation that we're in right now. Extremely serious.
Yes, it is.
And I'm hoping that whenever it does reconvene, that the people will come back and again appreciate the game of baseball that's been near and dear to both of us. Now, back to your list. You came through. How did you determine your coach of the year?
Well, that was a no-brainer.
Okay.
What Jose Vasquez did was going 14-4. Off the gate, he came out. They went 2-1 in the Urban League, which starts off. That starts the season off for the SWAC conference.
Right. And
they play each other, conference teams, but they're non-conference games.
Right.
And he started off hot, as they normally do, but he went 13-3 and he had a 7-game winning streak. And if you look at his schedule and how they were playing, this is a team that has a chance to win 40 to 42 games. Not too many HBCU teams have done that. We've had teams in the past that have. Southern's done it before. Jackson State has done it, more Southern than anyone. And I really think that Alabama State was on that path. And his coaching style, you have to remember, he was an assistant under Merlin Melendez.
Yes, sir.
Who built 2 powerhouses that started off at Bethune, and then he moved to Alabama State. Now he's doing FIU here in Miami.
Right.
And he was his coach for years. So now that he has taken the lead, he is at the helm. How he's recruiting, how he's teaching, and how he's getting players to buy into his system. This is a coach, besides Omar Johnson at Jackson State, who has won more than 30 ball games for the last 14 years. This is where Vasquez is headed. So it's kudos to him for leading his team this year. And from what I see and what was projected, this was a 40-win season for him. So it's not like he earned this. He earned the coach of the year, not just for the play on the field, but for his students as well. I mean, when you got a bunch of students that are honor students, To me, that's impressive.
Yes, sir. Very much so. And it goes back to the intellect, and I'm going to say this, and you're going to appreciate this, the intellect of a baseball player.
Yes.
Yes, sir. We're talking right now with Michael Coker. Now, let me ask you this, Mike. With the postseason awards, would you feel comfortable at just saying, okay, whoever was at the top be dubbed at least the conference or divisional champion for that season?
Yeah, I would.
Okay. And so if that be the case, Alabama State would have been out of the East and Southern would have been out of the West for the Southwestern Athletic Conference. And I shared this game with you that I developed. I might have to make that my SWAC fantasy championship game with the little game I developed. Who you think gonna win, man, and why?
Well, I'm gonna give a little bit of history for those that don't know. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Texas Southern, and here's why. Michael Robertson, the coach at Texas Southern, every year, every team that he has ever coached always starts off small. They don't win ball games at the first half of the season. They're barely winning games. But they pick it up in the second half and they start smoking and spanking everybody. So you got to keep an eye out on a guy. And I've said this and I've written about it many times on Black College Nines. If college baseball ever went to a system as to where they played 100 games, Michael Robinson-led team would go 25-25 the first half of the season. And in the second half, they would go 50-2.
Yeah, he's a dangerous fella, man. And it's like it takes his team a while to adjust to what he's expecting. And they say, oh, this is what you meant, coach. And then by the time the train gets to rolling, and it usually comes around tournament time, and they'll be one of the teams that no one really wants to face in the postseason.
And that is correct. Now, like I said, you take Omar Johnson, he wins 30 ball games, but the most dangerous team besides Alabama State is Texas Southern.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And Grambling. I got to throw Grambling in there because James Cooper is a coach's coach.
Yes.
And Grambling has been on that tip. In the last few years, they've been right at that tip. They ran into a hot Texas Southern a couple years ago. That was Grambling's tournament.
Right. But historically, Cooper and Johnson, it seems like that they're more offensive driven, and they fade out in the postseason because of none of the pitching depth that the other two that we talked about have.
But you really want to know something? That's college baseball, period. It's and even the non-HBCUs, because there are times when you have a starter who may have thrown 90 innings in a day or two ago, and he's making a relief appearance.
Right.
It's the postseason brings out the best, and you have to be prepared with pitching. But even in the major league levels, pitching can fail you at any given time.
No doubt.
But my dad used to always tell me, and because he was a big baseball guy, good pitching will beat good hitting any day.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And when you brought up something that we were talking about, the strikeouts to walks to pop-up ratio, a lot of people really, they look for the dominant strikeout pitcher, but really and truly, I would rather have a guy who knew how to throw strikes, might not have a lot of volume in strikeouts, because what I compute strikeouts to is more pitches that you have to throw as a pitcher. And if you you're racking up a whole bunch of strikeouts, that's going to be wear and tear on the wing as you get deeper into the season. So if I got a guy that's getting a lot of ground outs and pop outs and a few strikeouts, then I would rather have that than a punch out guy, me personally.
Well, Major League Baseball has exactly what you're talking about. There's one pitcher. His name is Kyle Hendricks. He only throws 91. And you got kids throwing 95 and can't get in Major League Baseball. But the fact of it is that he uses every square inch of the strike zone to induce more ground outs, more pop-ups, more foul outs. And then he does have a sneaky out pitch. It looks like a fastball, but it's on the outside of the plate, and then it curves back in at the last second. That's his out pitch. But there are not that many players or pitchers at the collegiate level or Major League Baseball level that have that, because everything nowadays is geared towards 90-something, striking out something, and that new thing for home runs. I don't even like to call it that word. Trying to stay away from using that launch angel. To me, that's just a home run.
Right.
That's all it is.
Right. A big base hit, right?
Exactly.
Man, look, I knew this was going to happen, man. I got to shut down for today, but you got to promise, man, I have enjoyed you thoroughly, but you got to promise that we got to do this again. Can I count on you for that?
Anytime.
Well, look, wow, I am up pressed against the hour right now. I got to go, ladies and gentlemen. This is Michael Coker from Black College Nines. Mike, let the people know how they can get in contact with you.
All you have to do is reach me at through email at michael@blackcollegenines.com. Send me an email. And I would like to personally thank Jay Sokol, who's the founder and historical person for Black College Nine, and is the other guys, Douglas Milan, Harold Michael Harvey, Chuck Gertie, John Winter. They put out great articles. We cover HBCU baseball. We cover it because they put the product on the field, and all we do is report it.
Amen, brother. Amen. Michael Coker of Black College Nines, thank you so much, my friend. We will definitely have you back on the show. Man, time flies when you're having fun. We want to thank our guests on tonight, of course, Michael Coker of Black College Nines, Byron Smith of Prairie View A&M University Panthers. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for joining in with us. Don't forget, if the creek don't rise and the Lord delays is coming, we'll come together tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Don't forget to follow us on our social media handles for Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at The Mike Prince Show. The YouTube channel is the Open Mic Broadcast Network. I've got the exit stage left, but until the next time, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.